Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing this cool little hex from FAYEE. This is called the FY804 micro hex, actually nano hex. Now this is a super small one. I think this is the smallest one I've ever seen, maybe the world's smallest. Be sure to check the link down in the description of where you can pick this guy up, and you can go ahead and click that for take you to the product website on where you can purchase this guy. But anyway, what we're going to do today is unbox this and set it up, and then take it out to the park and do some park flying, come back to the house, do some house flight, see how it performs in different environments, do some range testing, some flight timings, see how it flies, and come on back to the bench and do kind of a final pros and cons. But anyway, it comes in blue or green. This is the green version, obviously. It's called the Navigator. And let's go ahead and unbox this and see what it's all about. Okay, so on the bottom we have a little bag of goodies here. We'll just open that up first, see what they give us. Looks like all we're getting is a screwdriver. Looks like they give us a full set of 6 extra propellers. It's a good job for these guys for giving us a full set of extra propellers. Then all you have is your plug-in charger that you'd plug into, like, say, a cell phone adapter or a computer to charge the battery. And then we also have our instruction manual in the package, which we'll go over in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and pull this guy out of the box and see what it's all about. So really cool. Looks like we have a controller that has a built-in cover. We've got a cross button on the left and right, and then we have our thumbstick buttons and our trigger buttons on top, power on and off. And it looks like maybe this is all you need the screwdriver for to open up the door of the controller, which you probably will never need to put in again. So yeah, so that snaps nice and tight. Taking 3 AAA batteries, never going to need to put that back in. So anyway, here we go. Let's open this guy up. Nice case that snaps tightly shut. Just push a little and it pops open. Only pops open this far, so it won't pop any farther back than that, so be careful not to push it. So it pops open like that, and we're getting a good view of the FY804 here. So okay, cool. So there is a little light. I'm noticing a light on the bottom base of the controller. That's probably just to indicate that the power is on the controller. When you close that up, you can see that. And so here is the hex. Here it is, a little micro nano hex, smallest I've ever seen, with 6 blades. Pretty darn cool. So I'm just going to rotate it around so you can get a good look of it. Okay, little power on off switch here. We'll power that on. So the back has, is this the back? Yeah, that's the back. So the back's got red lights, the sides have green, and the front has blue. Awesome job on the lighting on this guy. These guys really got the hex lighting right. This is how all hexes should be, in my opinion, where they have all the lights to indicate sides, front, and back. Great job with this. And they got it right on the corners here, so I think really all quads and hexes and multicopters in general should really have it on the corners. That way you can see it from any angle while you're flying. So good job on these guys. It looks pretty cool. Then of course, when you're charging, make sure to power off, and this is where you're going to charge it right here. Just slide this right on like that for charging. And then as far as the controls go, let's go ahead and open the instruction manual up. So the right trigger is going to be your flips, so press that, and then any direction here you'll flip. Then on the left side we have our speed setting for our rates, faster flying for roll and pitch. And speaking of roll and pitch and controls, the right stick's going to be your pitch forward back and your rolling left to right. And then this is going to be your throttle for going up and down, and your yawing for left and right for turning like this. And it's indicating that only the top of this button does a headless mode here, so I assume that would be headless on and off. It's not really saying if it's got a return to home, just the headless mode, so we'll see how that works when we test flight. And then there's the on-off switch here. And then this button over here is just the trimming for this stick here for pitch and roll trimming here. So let's go ahead and go out and fly this little Nano HEX, see how it performs, get some hat cam video of it flying at the park, flying indoors in a couple of different environments, and getting some timings, range tests, and going through all the paces, all the functions, and seeing how they perform. Looks like it's going to be pretty durable. I'm just kind of tweaking on the arms here, and it's seeming like it's very stiff and durable, so looks like it's going to be a good one. All right, so let's go fly. All right, so we're at the park with the little Nano FAYEE Nano HEX, and gonna go ahead and do a test flight in the park. Perfect conditions right now. We got no wind right now, so this should be a great flight, and we're gonna put it through all its paces and see how it does. So I would recommend to have like maybe a level surface at the park. Just level it with your cell phone, so you have a surface just in case your craft starts flying kind of weird. You can level it and recalibrate. So anyway, turning on, doing a bind up and down, ready to fly. Let's see how it does. All right, see the LED is really easy to see and tell our orientation. This is the rate 1 here. So top left trigger goes through the rates. This is rate 2. So it looks like it's only got 2 rates. And you can see how fast rate 2 is. It's a little scary on the turning in rate 2. So you definitely need to be careful with that one. Anyway, in rate 2, let's see, with right trigger, there's our flipping. Flips very well. And what else we got? We got a headless mode, I think. Let's try it. That top cross button on the left hand panel here goes into headless. We can hear the beeping, and I'm going to go ahead and yaw, and we can see that. Let's see if it gets a little skewed when we yaw really fast. Oh, it's still pretty good. Forward is still going forward, left is left, right is right. Back is back. Even with that little spinning there, it seems like it's kind of maintaining its, still maintaining its orientation. Pretty good. I'm going to go out of headless, pushing that button again. Let's go ahead and do a range test. So from here, I'm going to go out while it's going to be hard to see, but I'm going to go out and do some pitching while I'm pressing forward on this, and see how far we can get. The wind's coming up a little bit. I can't seem to get very far, even though I'm giving it full throttle. So I'm about 50 feet now, 75. So I felt a little bit of drops at maybe 75 to 100 feet. This one's better than most, actually. Still in control at about 100 feet. So not bad at all. Let's come on back and do some kind of fast flying. Okay, so I'm full pitch forward. For some reason, it's having trouble coming back. Maybe a little bit of a self-leveling accelerometer bug. Let's see if it will come back. Come on back. Okay, so for some reason, really hard in the wind with this one. Not sure if it's these power lines above me interfering, but some quads do this where they just have a little bit of trouble fighting any kind of wind, or maybe it's a self-leveling issue where the more you push forward on the stick, the less and less it pitches for some reason. Let's try this again. Yeah, so when I immediately launch, it's got some pitch, but as I hold it, I don't know. Just seems like the accelerometer wants to level out, even though I'm giving it stick input. I have fully charged batteries on both the controller and the craft, so that's unfortunate. Might have a little bit of a pitch and roll bug to it. So this might just be like a house flyer. Look like the low level blinking lights are blinking, but just want to give it one more chance here. And bind it back to the controller. Go into rate 2. Yeah, still has that issue. I'm full pitch forward and it's leveling out. There's its low level landing. There we go, there's this low voltage cutoff. So at least we know the voltage will cut off when it runs out of power to save the battery, and it'll drop. But kind of strange, that pitch issue where you would first pitch and it would go forward and then it would slowly, as you're holding pitch, it would slowly come back. And you can't really fly very well with that. I'm not sure, maybe it's the power lines interfering with the 2.4 gigahertz control. I do have brand new fresh charged batteries in here. These batteries are really good batteries. They're brand new and freshly charged, so I know it's not that. The range was actually pretty good, 75 to 100 feet, but that pitch issue may be a problem. But let's get in the house, do some house flying. Maybe it'll be a different animal in the house and not give us those problems, and then we'll get back to the bench and do a pros and cons. Alright, so we're in the house with this little Nano hexacopter, smallest I've ever seen, and I'm going to give this a good test flight, see how it does in no wind environment. So let's try it out. I'm really digging those lights. I really like the different color lights on this one. Pulling the sticks to the bottom left and right like this, we'll reset the accelerometer or gyro so it has a little bit more level of flight. Let's see how it does. Cool. Alright, so let's do a quick little lift test while it has a full charged battery from a hover to full throttle. Pretty good. Do a little bit of a yaw test. So this is rate 1. So I got to remember the red lights are in the back, blue lights are in the front. Okay, so there's a little hover test. A little bit of drifting, but not bad. It's doing good actually. Doing really good. So that's a little hover test. Let's see what these other buttons do. Left trigger. That's rate 2. So 2 rates of flight. So we'll stay in rate 1 and we're going to test the, let's go towards the wall here. This is the roll and the pitch. In rate 1, really docile. And then here's the yaw rate in rate 1. Really slow. I'm going to switch to rate 2 while we're doing this. Whoa, okay, so rate 2. Rate 2 is dramatic. A dramatic difference. So between one rate, it's like basically beginner or expert. So here's the rate 2 roll and the pitch. And that yaw rate is pretty crazy in rate 2. Whoa. Alright, cool. So let's see what the right trigger does. Alright, that's our flips. Let's try that again. So just clicking in the right trigger, we're going to hear the beeping. And then any direction it'll do the flip. So let's see what it does if we do just kind of a hover and don't touch the throttle and flip. So I'm at a steady hover. So it will drop. So you're going to need to give it some throttle after it's done flipping. Oh, maybe not. It seems like if you're kind of just hovering, it just drops a little. Not bad actually. Wow, so it's pretty fast too. Pretty quick. It's a little fast for, would have been nice if they had an intermediate mode, but it looks like there's only 2 rates of flight. That's slow and the fast. So you can see how slow and easy it is to fly in the rate 1 in the house. But you may get in trouble if you're trying to do fast turns. But then when you go to rate 2, it's a little bit too much on the yaw, I think. See how fast that kind of yaws. So you're going to need to only go in that mode if you're more experienced. Alright, let's see what happens if we turn off the controller with this one. see how long it takes to drop or what it does. Okay, so just gonna hover here and turn off the controller. 2 seconds and it shuts off. Let's turn back on, do a rebind, and get back to flying. Okay, cool. I think in the instruction manual it said this button does maybe a headless mode, so let's try this. So on the left stick, we're doing a, we're clicking this top portion, and we're seeing these lights flashing like this. And I did launch from this direction on the table, and surprisingly, it's remembering its orientation. I'm pressing forward, back, right, left, while I'm spinning. You can see it's spinning here, and it seems pretty spot on for the headless mode. Surprising, after all that spinning, it did hold its orientation. Just remember, you got to be facing the way you launched from. Like if I was to turn this way, now it's going to be skewed. So you have to make sure when you're using this mode, you are facing where the front of the craft was and where you launched from. So it'll work. Seems like it'll work fine. Pushing that again, that goes out. And it looks like we are now going into like a low voltage landing. And there we go. We had motor shut off, so we won't ruin the battery. So it did pretty well. Alright, cool. So this little Nano HEX is pretty neat. Seems to perform really well in the house. Let's go ahead and get back to the bench and get our final pros and cons on this and see exactly what the flight timings were and any other pros and cons that may have come up. Hey guys, welcome back. So we're back on the bench with the FAYEE Nano HEX, a copter. And just wanted to go over a quick little pros and cons on this guy and just kind of go through all of its flight timings and the pros and cons and see how this thing did. So first off, it is the smallest HEX I've ever seen, for sure. I have not seen a smaller one of these yet, so that's pretty cool. Cool factor is it's possibly one of the first ones of this size to be this small, and it also has this cool little case, obviously. A little con right off the bat is I wish they would have incorporated some kind of door or something to carry along your USB charger. But anyway, as far as the design goes, I think it is a good design. Nice and sturdy. I like the two-tone colors. It's really nice and shiny on top. And they do give you the different color propellers for orientation, so that's cool. This guy had really good lift. When you punch the throttle, it did lift really good, and it's that's probably due to because it has 6 propellers and it's pretty light. It did have 2 rates of pitch and roll as well as yaw, and that's where it got a little bit weird. The pitch and roll and the yaw in rate 1 were really slow and good for beginner flyers like in the house. When you went to rate 2, the second rate it had didn't have a rate, third rate, a middle rate, but when you went to rate 2 it was like a higher rate. The pitch and the roll got a little bit higher, but the spinning, the yaw got really fast, so it was a little bit hard to control. So the only reason you're going to want to go into that rate is if you wanted to kind of show off and just spin it really fast. But aside from that, it was pretty good. I really wish they would have one more rate, maybe a medium rate, and that would kind of make this thing perfect, where it was, you know, you could fly a little faster and you wouldn't have to spin out of control. It was really hard to fly it just turning around when you were in rate 2 just because it spun so fast. Aside from that, the lights were really good. The indicator lights, the 3 different colors, front, back, and the edges, the sides, were really good. I guess actually this is the back here. And so that really made it easy to find your orientation in any kind of low light or even in daylight. These LEDs shine through really, really nice. And I wish more quads would do this. You know, a lot of the larger mini quads, they put the lights underneath and they're really hard to see, but if they could put them on the corners like this one does, a lot of these Nanos have, I think some of the larger quads would really be more of a pleasure to fly at night as well. So great design and great lighting on this one. This one did have kind of a weird, just being honest here, this thing did have kind of a weird pitch and roll leveling problem, where when you did fly and pitch, it would eventually kind of slowly come back a little more level. And that was really evident in the park when I was trying to fight some wind. I would pitch it and it would start to level even though I was holding the pitch stick all the way forward and trying to come back to me. And it would start to kind of level out, and then the wind would be pushing it back. So it was really difficult to get anywhere really in the park. So I'd really recommend this one for really just in-house or really no wind outside whatsoever, or else you're going to probably have some problems getting it back to you and you may lose it. I did test that again when I came back to the house for some timings, and I could see that little bit of a pitch and roll leveling when I really looked at it in the house as well. So it wasn't just at the park. It was just more evident at the park because it couldn't fight the wind. This thing was really in no wind. It really hovered well. It kind of just stayed in its little vicinity when I hovered with no thumbs on the sticks. So it did a really good job at hovering, keeping its level and its position. It also did really good flips. The flips were good. So getting to the ranges and the flight times, the range on this, I did a range test in the park and it seemed to be between 75 and 100 feet, which is actually pretty good for a little Nano like this. That's more on the top end for Nanos I've tested. So this does a good job on the range. And then as far as the flight time goes, I was getting 4 minutes and 45 seconds until the low voltage lights would start blinking, and then maybe another 15 seconds until it would kick into its low voltage landing and just land. And it did have a low voltage cutoff, so if you did hold the throttle, it did have a low voltage cutoff so that the motors would shut off to prevent you from destroying the battery. But anyway, this thing was fun, definitely categorized as an indoor flyer. Just to let you guys know, be careful outside with this one. It has trouble fighting wind. But besides that, I think it's pretty good. If they can fix that one more rate of yaw to be kind of a middle ground, and that kind of a little bit of the weird pitch and roll leveling when you're still pressing full stick, I think they'd have a really killer hex here. And then, as I mentioned before, you need some kind of place to store this little USB charger. Also, if you'd like to check this thing out, go ahead and check the link down in the description. I'll have a link that straight to the website where you can buy this thing. I hope you like the review, and check out my channel. I do a lot of reviews like this, mods, flight tests, all kinds of stuff on RC cars, action cams, quadcopters, hexcopters, nanos, minis, GPS, smart quads, all kinds of stuff. I think you'll like it. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I hope you like the review, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.